Welcome to the Executive Edge, hacking your hormones for peak productivity. Yes. So, this session today is for you if you are a high achieving executive. And number one, you recognize that your personal health has everything to do with your professional success. You're not decreasing the two of them. Number two, you believe in the power of driven, data driven information. So, you're not just looking willy nilly and going everywhere. And three, you aren't looking for a quick fix because there are so many people who are out there and they just want, give me that pill, let me take my pill and I'm going to get on with my life. This is not for you if any of these are you, right? Because what's going to make what we're talking about today unique is this. Number one, many wellness programs are very much surface driven. They're all kind of cookie cutter. Everyone has the same plan, everyone does exactly the same thing. But we're not going to be talking about that today. We're going to be diving deeper into health, especially personalized lifestyle health, and what that means for you, your business, your home, and your life. Because this is actually going to increase your energy. It's going to increase your ability to make good decisions and your overall vitality. So remember, we're going to be digging deep in this today. And my promise to you is that you're going to find a unique way, a personalized way, when you listen to what we're going to be talking about today, that's going to help support you not only in your 9 to 5 or whatever the hours are that you're working, but not only there, but when you come home. Because really, don't we go to work? Don't we work because we want to bring more home for ourselves and for our families? I believe we do. But we only got a limited amount of time. So we're going to be talking about a lot of things. We're going to be going through them pretty quickly. If you have something you want to talk to me about them, put it in the chat. I'll be following the post comments if I can see them. If I don't, I'll check through everything afterwards and reach out to everyone who has any questions or concerns. But we do have this limited amount of time. Okay. But what I do want to say is, I want to make sure that you, again, time is one of the most valuable things that we have, especially as executives. So I want to make sure that if you're here and spending this time with me today, that you're going to get something out of it and that you're going to take action if you see something that is important to you. And then finally, if you want to do that now, you can do it now. You can send a DM me or whatever, but put your email in the chat or message me, and I'll give you a special show up live bonus that's right here. Because what I hear from a lot of the women that I work with, a lot of the men that I work with, executive leaders, business people, what I hear is that they're able to hold it together throughout most of the day, but then they're not sleeping at night. Now, whether it's because of worry or because of other issues we're going to talk about a little bit later, they don't know, but they know that they're not sleeping well. And if you can't sleep well, you're not going to function well the next day. So you're going to learn how to sleep like a baby with my special show up live bonus. So let's get into the reality of everything. We have challenges, right? Sometimes building a business, no matter where you are, whether you're just starting one, whether you've been in one for 10, 20, maybe even 30 years, we all have challenges. And we want to know what those challenges are, especially for us going forward. So let's just kind of take a look at some of them. Challenge number one, look at that woman right there. Number one, we may feel like we're drained by mid afternoon. And if you look at that photo, the reason I use that is because what you got there, many, many, many cups of coffee. And I hear that so often with people who the way they get up in the morning is they're not alive until they have their cup of coffee. They have to have cup after cup after cup to keep their energy and vitality going throughout the day. But what they often will see is mid afternoon, that no matter what they're drinking, no matter how much whether it's coffee or energy drinks or whatever they are drinking, nothing's keeping them up. That drain, that mid afternoon drain. The second challenge that I see a lot is difficulty in maintaining focus. So when you're not feeling well, when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you've got that brain fog, what tends to happen? You stop focusing. And if you're not focusing in a high level meeting, what's going to happen? Not a good thing, right? But then three, challenge, unexpected or unexplained weight gain. Now, a lot of us hit that 40, that 40-year-old mark, 40 to 45. And the stuff that we used to do, the way that we used to keep weight off, we would maybe watch what we ate for a couple of days and the weight would just kind of fall off. Well, now it doesn't seem to do that anymore. So not only that, we're watching what we're eating, we're working out and everything, but we're still gaining weight and we don't know why. And then finally, and then, like I said, there are many, many other things as well. But challenge four, we're not present for our family and friends. So if you're struggling throughout the day, when you come home or you bring all of that work with you, how are you feeling when you get home? So remember, the main reason that we do what we do is so that we can be with our families, so that we can love them and they can love us back. But when we're not there, when we're exhausted, when we don't feel well, we can't be there for them. So what do you want? Put some of that in the chat if you would. Some of them, I can't see all of them, but put some of the things in the chat that you would love to have in your life. And I again use this wonderful picture. Well, number one, what is the opportunity to sharpen your focus and enhance your cognition? So if you're thinking better, if you're just think about it, imagine that if you're able to think better throughout your day, if it's not so much a struggle to figure out what's going on, then life gets easier, doesn't it? Right. Number two, we want to have a consistent, vibrant energy throughout the day without having to rely on caffeine or stimulants or sugar. That was my thing when I was going through those things. A mid-afternoon slump. I wasn't so much a coffee person, but that was when I would go and get the cookies. I loved cookies back then, still do really. But that was how I got myself through the day. So it was sugar that was getting me there. And it's going to be important when I talk about a couple of things later on. But it may also be number three, the main thing is we want to have that balance. That's why it's called balanced performance. We want to have that balance between harmony at work, harmony at home. We want to have that balance throughout. Okay. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself and how I came to be doing what I'm doing right now. This is actually my third career. My very first career, I was a professional ballet dancer, traveled the world, loved it. And this was me. And on the left, that was me in a production that was designed especially for me. A huge honor. It was Adam and Eve. I was Eve, as you can imagine. And a lot of the training and the discipline and the always on and the never say never attitude that I learned in ballet because the show must go on, right? I brought that with me into my second career, which was plastic surgery, which was a great thing. I think that's why I became the award winning plastic surgeon that I was. A lot of that never say never. So that part was great. But I was also raising my children at the time. And I always said to myself, I don't want my choice to become a plastic surgeon to be the reason that they suffer, that they don't get what they need from their mom. And so I would be in the office seeing patients all day, or I'd be operating. In some of my cases, my surgical cases were 6 to 8 hours long. Okay, so just imagine standing on your feet for that many hours, working away on one particular thing. So 6 to 8 hours. But that wasn't it. When I came home, I had to be mom. So I was the one who was taking them to ball games and to speech competitions because I didn't want them to suffer because I chose that. Now, if I had done that, and taken care of myself at the same time, it might have been okay. So I might have been okay to be, in the office of the or operating room all day, come home and be soccer mom at night. And then often, because at that time I was the only plastic surgeon, it was a very small town. I was the only plastic surgeon within 50 miles. So if something happened in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., someone falls down or gets bitten by a dog and they want a plastic surgeon, who were they calling? They were calling me. So now we're talking about 24/7 because there was no other plastic surgeon. There was no one else to take over. And if I, like I said, if I had been taking care of myself, watching what I ate, doing some of the things we'll be talking about a little bit later, maybe I could have continued that way. But I didn't. All right. I was eating fried chicken and biscuits. That was one of my favorite things. I was down in the South at the point, and I loved fried chicken and biscuits. And so I gained about 35 pounds, and it wasn't just the weight. It wasn't just how, when I looked in the mirror, I wasn't happy anymore. I was also creating more and more inflammation to the point where I ended up in the intensive care unit, not once, not twice, three times in the space of a year. And it was with huge blood clots in my legs that went, two of them went to my lungs. I mean, that third time, I almost didn't make it out of the intensive care unit. And that's when I understood that I had to change what I was doing. Because if I hadn't, I wouldn't be here speaking with you today. But at the time, I was so exhausted. I was so tired. I was so run down that there was nothing that I could do except change the way I ate. And so I stopped the chicken and biscuits and started eating what I call whole foods, foods that I recognized what they were. And then when I got a little more energy, then I started moving more. I went back to yoga. So I wasn't dancing anymore, but now I went to yoga, which was very similar. I started reducing stress levels. I looked at how I was sleeping and I healed. And what I realized was that these changes that I was making in my life not only made my life easier, but they could make others easier as well. And so my big revelation at the time was that personalized lifestyle health, changing the things that you're doing every single day, is the most effective way to transfer your energy, your focus, and your productivity. Because when you feel better, you are better, you live better, right? So let's look at the balanced performance framework because this is a true thing within all capabilities. If we look at this framework, on one axis we have stress, we got low stress and high stress. On the other axis we have satisfaction with your life, low satisfaction, high satisfaction. So what might be in that first one? Low stress, low satisfaction. So there's not much stress to being an assembly line worker, right? You're just sitting there putting things down, right? No stress whatsoever. But you may also not have a very high satisfaction in what you're doing. You're just kind of going through the motions. Well, what does it look like if you have high stress, and low satisfaction? This is probably the worst, right? So maybe this would look like telemarketing sales, right? Or a customer service rep where they are bombarded day after day, moment after moment, with hardly any break, but not much, again, not much satisfaction, right? Now, the next one, ooh, sorry, the next one is where I was, which is high stress, but high satisfaction. All right, that was where I was as a plastic surgeon. And I also see ER docs. So they are always on the go. The second they get in there, boom, they're working hard. But they're also saving lives, right? So high stress, but high satisfaction. Startup founders, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? High stress, but you love what you're doing. And then finally, what if we had low stress, but high satisfaction? So what does that look like? Could be a librarian. I mean, they're sitting in a very mellow place all day long. They're doing what they love. High satisfaction, low stress. A gardener or a landscape artist, somebody who's out there in the earth working and doing things they actually love. Maybe high satisfaction, low stress. But guess what? You can be there too. And that's what I called the balanced boss. And by boss, I mean when you're bold, optimistic, strong, and successful. That is the balanced boss. So, where are you on that framework? Are you hopefully not the low stress, low satisfaction or the high stress, low satisfaction? Maybe I hope you're in at least in the high satisfaction areas. And let's see if we can move you from the high stress, high satisfaction over to the high satisfaction, low stress. That's where we want to live. That's where we are balanced. And that's where when we can enjoy what we do. So, my promise to you is that you can reach professional excellence. You absolutely can without sacrificing your personal well being. There is that possibility. So, let's look at how we do it because we make A lot of us make three mistakes, three huge mistakes with our hormones. I told you we're going to be talking about hormones today. The three big mistakes that we make with our hormones. And I actually made a big one, and I'll explain how that happened. Mistake number one, ignoring the hidden cost of high stress, right? I love this picture. I love this picture. These two lions just fighting them. You can see that they are about to rip each other apart. But you know what happens with lions? After they have this big dust up and everything, they just walk away. They're done. They forget about it. It's gone. It's out of their mindset. Their stress level is high, and then it just drops way back down. But what happens with us? Ooh, we look exactly that same way, right? You're especially with those that we love, right? We just blow up. We blow up. We're yelling and we're unhappy. But do we forget about it when it's over? Does it just completely go away? No. Often, a lot of times, it's days or hours or days, sometimes even weeks that we're still holding on to that. Whether it's a spouse or a loved one that we're with, whether it's a boss or an employee or a coworker, whoever it might be, those stressors tend not to go away. And when they don't, when they continue day after day, week after week, month after month, we end up with unbalanced cortisol. Cortisol is that first hormone we're going to be talking about because that's the stress hormone, the fight, flight, or freeze hormone, right? And when we have those high levels that just stay high for long periods of time without any sort of respite, we start seeing things like chronic fatigue when we're just exhausted because we've just used up all of our stores. We start having trouble sleeping. So remember in the beginning, I was talking about sleeping and stress. One of the things that happens when we start unbalancing our cortisol is that it may start kicking on 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's one of the reasons why I show this picture, because how many of us wake up in the middle of the night, and we're just buzzing. We may have gone to sleep okay, but we wake up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and we are just buzzing. We can't think, our minds are just racing. And what do we often do? We get up and we start working. And instead of making things better, we're actually making them worse because what we're doing is teaching ourselves, we're rewarding ourselves for getting up in the middle of the night. Now, yes, it might have been the cortisol that's doing that to us, those elevated levels of cortisol, but every time we get up and feed that little gremlin that wants to be up in the middle of the night, we're teaching it that this is okay. So trouble sleeping, that weight gain that we just can't seem to get rid of, that little excess tire. And it's often around the belly when it's related to adrenals, when it's related to cortisol. Mood swings. Remember those two people? Whew, when you're holding it in all day, but you come home and then you just blow up and you don't know why. A lot of times it's cortisol. And then finally, decrease concentration, not being able to focus during the day and to do the things that you want to do. So these are the things that we can see with cortisol when it is unbalanced, right? Okay. So this is what Robert was seeing. He's a CEO, very, very successful. But he's a guy, and he knew that reducing stress levels was important. He knew, and he wanted to, but he didn't want to do meditation. He felt that that was really kind of not in his wheelhouse. And so what we did was we started exploring, and what we found for him was technology. So for him, it wasn't the traditional sit with your legs crossed and meditate. For him, it was finding a technology that worked. And that's some of the technology that we've used with some of the people in our programs. What he found was that that was helping him to lower his stress levels without him having to actually work at it. When he did, then all of the people who were suffering because he was really, I mean, mood swings like you can't even imagine, they were starting to calm down. So as his levels calmed down in his stress levels, his life started to smooth out as well. And so what we see with Dr. Hans is when you get that right attitude, you can convert a negative stress into a positive one. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you right now with cortisol? Are you a one where cortisol is like you are just stressed 24/7, like Robert had been? Or are you a 10 where your life is really smooth and everything is fine? So, if you were to master reducing your stress and cortisol levels, what impact would it have on your life, right? What would it have? And can you commit to learning one thing on how to reduce stress? First thing. Now, the mistake number two is overlooking the silent saboteur, which is insulin. And I show this picture because many of us know that if you're eating cookies like this, oh, that they look very, very delicious. If you're eating cookies like this, and like I was many years ago, you're going to be increasing your insulin levels. That's what's kind of controlling your blood sugar. And I want to share with you this was my parents in 1940, maybe 1945 or so. This was on their wedding day, the two of them. Don't they look extremely happy that they were just, I mean, I wasn't around at the time, but I'm sure that they were. And they were inseparable for the next 45 years, amazingly so, okay, until my mom actually passed away of emphysema. And that stress, that high stress all of a sudden knocked my father, who had been completely healthy up until then, up until that very moment, knocked him into being a diabetic, knocked his blood sugar up into the diabetes range. All right. Now, we didn't talk about that too much, but that's one of the other things that cortisol can do. High levels of it will increase your blood sugar. And it did for him, and like I said, out of the clear blue sky, he was now diabetic. And unfortunately, several months later, from going from absolutely no problems whatsoever to diabetes and to then passing away himself within 5 months, that was the effect of stress on his life, right? And especially that cortisol and the insulin levels. So this is by Dr. Mark Hyman, and he says that maintaining a healthy balance of insulin is not a minor health issue. It's not. It's the difference between life and death, between health and illness. And I saw that personally. It was absolutely the difference between life and death. And that's why just recently, if you've been following me, you saw that I was the second case study. I actually did a continuous glucose monitor because I wanted to know what was going on with my life with what I was eating. And if you look at this little, if you look at that little spike there, so what the continuous glucose monitor is doing, it is showing you what your blood sugar is doing, how it's reacting to everything, how it's reacting not only to food, but to working out, to stress levels, to sleep. It's showing you how your body reacts. And if you look at that really big spike, because you want to stay in that green, if you look at that big spike and when it comes all the way back down, that was when I had a drink, one of my favorite drinks whatsoever, but it does have a fair amount of sugar in it. I don't have them often. It's called chicha morada. I have them not frequently, but that's how that spiked me, right? Not only did it spike up, but then it spikes all the way down. And when it goes down that low, that fast, then you start getting jittery and everything. So I use this more as an experiment. Like, what could I eat? What could I do? What sort of workouts did the best for me? Which ones didn't? Use myself as a case study. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you there? If you were to master your insulin and your blood sugar, what impact could it have? And then finally, can you commit to doing one thing, learning one thing more about your metabolism? Just like I did. Would it be wonderful to maybe take a look, see what it's like to have a continuous glucose monitor for a couple of weeks and to see how you do as well? Mistake number three. You see this guy, when we think of testosterone, what do you think? We often think of somebody like this, big muscle man, with the big arms and everything. But we all have testosterone. We all have estrogen, and we need a balance. So that's why the third mistake that many of us make is ignoring that balance. Because when testosterone and estrogen are unbalanced, what tends to happen? You may have that low libido, and that's something a lot of us start to see where we just don't feel it anymore. And it's not just that we're getting older, it's that our hormones are starting to fluctuate. Our motivation may go out the window the same way with that motivation. We may start feeling sluggish. So maybe it's not the cortisol. Maybe it's really we don't have enough of these balanced. We may start to gain fat and lose muscle. What a crappy combination, right? Not only do we not have any more muscle, but now we've got more flab as well. So we don't like that. Fatigue. And then the last thing is something I'm seeing quite a bit of over the years, which is anxiety. Many, many, many more people are starting to feel just a generalized baseline anxiety. And a lot of this can be related to unbalanced testosterone and estrogen. So even though this is actually a glucose monitor, which you could have used a little bit earlier, my thing and a lot of what other lifestyle health providers talk about is test, don't guess. Understand what your numbers are. And that's something that we do in all of our programs because we want you to understand what your numbers are so that you can go forward. And that's what Carrie was finding out as well. So, Carrie, if you know Carrie, you know that she is an extremely vibrant CEO. I mean, she has more energy than you can imagine. But she had a bout with COVID that just kept lingering on and on. And what she realized is she was feeling more and more fatigued, really wasn't feeling herself. And so she started doing all of the things that many of us do. I mean, she found herself a nutritional coach and who is spectacular, who's getting her eating the right foods. She found a personal trainer, so she's working out and everything. But she was still having trouble with that low grade fatigue, with not sleeping well at night. And she had another piece of technology that was letting her know when she was sleeping well. So she would wake up in the morning and she would look at it, and the numbers would be so low and it was so discouraging. And what we ended up doing is we tested, we looked at her numbers and we found where her issue was. We tweaked them, and literally within weeks, she's waking up. She said the other day, this is so spectacular. She woke up and this particular technology has it gives you crowns when you sleep well. And she says, every morning I'm waking up with a crown. So these are the things that you can do when you know your numbers. They're so important when you know what's going on there. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you with your hormones? If you were to master these sex hormones, what impact could it have? And can you commit to really supporting your testosterone and your estrogen more? Remember, one of the best things you do, and we're going to talk about how you can actually do all of those things because stress is huge, right? Remember, the very first we talked about was cortisol. Cortisol is a master hormone. When cortisol is off, it messes with your energy levels, it messes with your glucose levels, it messes with your testosterone levels. Increased stress in men lowers testosterone. Increased stress in women tends to increase testosterone. So it really has an impact all across the board. So 75% of doctors' visits are related to stress conditions, right? Ugh. So let me ask you this question. How will continuing to neglect your hormonal balance affect your ability to lead, to succeed in your business within the next 5 years? Just think about that. If you don't take a look at what your hormones are doing now and you just leave them the way they are, do you think they're going to get better on their own or are they going to start to decline even further? So now your turn. What's been the most valuable so far? What's been about the things that we talked about? Was it cortisol, the changes in cortisol? Was it the changes in insulin? Was it the changes in testosterone and estrogen that we may be seeing and how we can start going about them? So, what I want to share with you are some of the ways that you can do that. So, mistake number one, ignoring the hidden danger of stress, cortisol's impact on your executive health, because the real cost is chronic fatigue, poor sleep, mood swings where you don't even feel like yourself anymore, right? Mistake number two is overlooking that silent saboteur, insulin resistance. Because remember, with cortisol, if you keep stressing yourself, eventually it's not going to work for you as well as you'd like. Same thing with insulin. If you keep those spikes, if I had spikes like you saw on my thing all the time, Eventually, I would become what's called insulin resistant to the point where it doesn't work as well anymore. And if that continues, eventually you hit that number where now your doctor tells you you're diabetic. I don't want you to get to this point where you have to inject yourself. Okay. We want to avoid that altogether because the real cost initially are those energy crashes, right? So a lot of times, if we're drinking the caffeine and that sugary caffeine, right, especially first thing in the morning and having cookies and things and candy to keep ourselves going, then we crash afternoon, 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon. Brain fog is huge when our blood sugar is rising and going up and down. And then finally, of course, as you can think about it, weight gain. And then mistake number three, ignoring the balance of testosterone and estrogen on your vitality because we need them both. Men need estrogen, women need testosterone. We need them both, but we need them in the right balance. Because the real cost, again, number one, low libido. We just don't have it anymore. Low motivation. Now, as an executive, as a leader, you can't afford to be sluggish, right? And then anxiety that just kind of holds on to you and has that grip that makes every step, everything that you do so much more difficult. So I want you to just imagine, what would it be like if in 3 days you just took one idea, 3 days for 3 days and made that change? What would your life look like? Then let's make it 3 months. If you had all of the numbers, you knew what your numbers were, and you knew how to start changing them around like Harry did, what would your life look like in 3 months? And then if you extend that out to a full year, where everything is flying your way from the moment you get up in the morning, you've got energy, you've got vitality, your brain is working the way you want to. You look in the mirror, you love what you see, all of that is going for you. And then it just continues throughout the day until you get back home again at night and you've still got all of the energy that you need to enjoy the ones that you're with. What would that mean to you? Right? Would it look like this, like any of these people? Would you hang with your besties? Would you just go on a cruise with your favorite person? Would it be just, in the sunlight or the sunset? Or would you just feel so powerful all throughout your entire day? What would it look like for you? And so let me ask you, what is your path to get there? How do you plan to make that transition? Because if you don't plan, it's not going to happen, right? We all know that one. But let me tell you, what I'm going to talk about next is it's not for you for certain things. It's not for everybody. It absolutely is not. If you're not ready to make changes in your lifestyle. So if you really want to just be, the you want it to just happen immediately, you're not wanting to make any changes, this is not it. If you subscribe to the fact that I'm just getting older, and I hear that so much. Oh, my aches and pains are just because I'm older. Oh, I'm gaining weight because I'm older. Oh, my digestion is off because I'm older. Yes, things do change as we get older. That's a fact. But we don't have to accept them. We don't have to say, this is the way it is and I can't do anything about it. If you don't see yourself as a pioneer, all right, now many of you are listening to this, you're a leader in your group, right? You are a leader. And what you do, you may not even realize it, but people are looking up to you. So whether it's at work or at home, when you make changes in your lifestyle, people are going to follow you. If you're not ready to be that leader, then maybe again, this is not for you. But this is for you if you recognize that your personal health and wellness are not just for you, but they're directly linked to what you do at work, okay, and to your success in your business. Also, you believe in data-driven, personalized strategies. So in other words, you believe in test, don't guess. You're not going to be, falling for the, well, I won't say the social media thing, but you go on there, you look at videos and you come up with the next latest and greatest way to either lose weight or sleep better or whatever it is. No, you want to know what your data is saying. What's important to you, what is right for you at this particular state. Okay. And then you're not looking for that quick fix. right? You're not that take a pill and, have an ill, take a pill and just let it go. A lot of people who come to us initially are of the thought that mom had diabetes, so I'm going to have diabetes. Dad had high blood pressure, so I'm going to have high blood pressure. And I'm here to tell you that no, it does not have to be that way. You don't have to have that, right? So, I'm going to take a little sip. I want to introduce you to the Executive Edge Intensive 90 days to peak performance. I'm going to show you how you can do that. So, we have a signature process, and this has been developed over the last 5 years with looking at what people who are high powered want. So you want the results. You don't want to have to spend extra time doing it, and you want them pretty quickly. So, 90 days, that's pretty good, right? 12 weeks, we're talking about. So in module one, we're going to be doing initial health assessments because you need to know where you're starting from to know where you're going to be going, right? You need to know where you're going. Number two is eating elite. And by that, I don't mean eating caviar and champagne. I mean eating the right foods for you at this stage in your life. So many of you have realized that you no longer can eat pizza. I'm one of those. Pizza does not agree with me anymore. I used to really love it when I was little, not so much anymore. So finding the right foods for you at this stage in your life. Because when you do find that customized nutrition, you optimize your weight, you start dropping weight without having to struggle, and you enhance your clarity. Number three is moving more. So, how many of you don't want to spend another hour, maybe not even another minute in the gym, whether you're there or not? And what we want to do is show you how you can move throughout your day because it's all about moving, not exercising. How do you move throughout your day to get that physical endurance without needing a gym? Then four is living wisely. So that's your stress, your sleep, and as you can imagine, your hormones. Because again, you want to increase your brain's capacity. You want to sleep better. You want to feel better. And when all of these things are working well, do you become more productive or less? More productive. But we don't want to just leave it there, right? We want to help you specifically with what you need to advance your executive level decisions. So, mastering your time, building your confidence, both in the boardroom and the bedroom, and cultivating resilience, that ability to bounce back up no matter what, right? And so, all of these things are included in the Executive Edge Intensive. And our process, as I said, module one is the initial health assessments, two, the eat elite, move more, live wisely, and then the advanced skills and techniques. Now, here are the things that I hear all the time. I don't have enough time. Right? I don't have enough time to do all of this. So, what I want to do, and gave you a bonus, bonus number one, is how do you integrate your self care? Because when you're caring for yourself, you're actually caring for not only yourself, but for others as well. And your life gets easier. So, integrating self care is our first bonus. We're going to show you how you bring these things into your life without adding more time, stress, on your calendar, right? Two, so I hear this a lot as well. I've got food allergies, or I don't like this particular food, or something, and I don't eat this sort of thing. And so we came up with bonus number two, which are personalized on the go meal plans. So these are meals that are usually made in 30 minutes or less. 30 minutes or less. So no matter how busy you are, you've probably got 30 minutes, at least I hope so. But they are specially customized to you. So we look at whatever your likes are. If you have specific allergies or sensitivities, we can take them out and then still give you a delicious, very efficient meal plan that your family will also love. Okay. And number three, a lot of times I hear, how do I know that my labs are normal? Often, especially with say with thyroid, I will have that women or people go to their doc, they say I'm exhausted. The doc or their provider will do one test for their thyroid. One it comes back normal, which it often does, and they're told, nothing's wrong. Well, and part of that test don't guess is having to understand what an entire thyroid panel would be. And so a bonus here, number 3, is live virtual sessions with me where we will be going over labs. So you'll understand going forward what is a normal lab test? What's a normal lab value? Where do you want them to be? What do you want your optimal levels to be? What test should you get if you are struggling with certain things? Should you go in and advocate for? Because you are a great advocate. And so, Chrissy, just these certain things, you saw what Carrie was saying, but just these little things, after just a few months, Chrissy, who really didn't like working out, was using the things that she was learning in one of our programs and was starting to see a real difference in how she felt, how she was moving. She had actually just had surgery just a few weeks ago and bounced right back amazingly fast. So these things can make a difference in your life. So, what is that all about? The executive edge. If you're doing one-to-one with me, those 5 core stages that we take you through over the course of months is 11,500. Okay. Bonus number 1, that self-care and jam-packed schedule, 697. The customized meal plans. Now, if you were to go online and just try to find a customized meal plan of the quality that we're going to be sharing with you, at least 397. And then finally, those lab lessons with me, things that you'll be able to take forward for the rest of your life when you understand what's going on with your particular lab work, is on 997. So a total value of 13,591. But that's not what we're charging. That's not what I'm asking. That's not what you are investing. What you'd be investing is 35.97. 35 and 97 for 90 days. Imagine yourself 90 days feeling better, sleeping better, having dropped sometimes 20 to 30 pounds in that 90 days. Yes, we have seen it consistently. So, quick review: the executive as intensive, the workshops, the meal plans, total value 35.97. There's, however, I have a quick action bonus. So for those of you who decide within the next 24 hours, you have a special one-on-one onboarding call with me. All right, so where we will literally go through all of your lab work. We'll go through all of your issues and questions, and I will set you up for the highest success over the following 90 days. Okay, I'd give you this working guarantee because how many of us have signed up for something and either it didn't work or we didn't work it? And so I want to take that off the table altogether. I guarantee you that if you do the work in the 90 days, you come to the classes, you do the testing that we actually offer to you, and if you're unhappy for any reason, I'll refund your money. No questions asked. Okay? So enroll now, take action. Remember, we said in the beginning, this is your choice now. We didn't have a lot of time together today. I wanted to, for those of you who are ready to enroll right now. This is what you're getting: the personalized wellness assessments, the customized nutrition. We're going to be doing at-home blood and specialty panels, functional fitness. So on your schedule, right? Getting you moving throughout your day, executive performance, and we can do this virtual. Well, most of it is virtual, but if you are in the Raleigh, Durham area, you can actually even come in and meet with me live as well. So I mentioned again, the cost, we have 2 ways of doing it. You can pay in full and become a VIP for that $35.97. You get that in what's included, plus 3 additional one-to-one calls with me. All right, if you are a VIP. If you are going standard, you can actually spread it out over 3 months, $12.97 for 3 months, and you get all of those things we just talked about. So pay in full, you get those extra time, those extra hours with me, or you can spread it out as you would like. So remember again, the fast action bonus is that one-on-one onboarding, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I loved spending this time with you. If you have any questions, I'm going to be putting the links for all of the programs in the comments and everything. And I look forward to working with some of you. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.